Now, with Justin Jefferson signing this historic deal, becoming the highest paid non-quarterback in league history, he's put the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones in a very tough situation because they now are going to have to pay CeeDee Lamb a record-breaking contract and Dak Prescott. And you also have to pay Michael Parsons. You're not going to be able to pay all three of those guys and still be able to field a championship caliber team. At least one of these dudes is going to have to get their walking papers, in my opinion. The question is, who is that going to be? Because right now, the Cowboys are working on the clock to get CeeDee Lamb locked up long term. And they messed up with this whole entire situation because they could have got Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb locked up long term before last season started, but they chose to drag their feet. And with them dragging their feet and Dak and CeeDee balling out, they now are commanding a lot more than what they were worth before last season kicked off. Justin Jefferson, he's getting 35 a year. CeeDee Lamb, I could see him getting 36 million a year. And it doesn't matter if CeeDee Lamb is better than Justin Jefferson or not. You have to pay these dudes based off their production. And what we saw CeeDee Lamb do last year, first team All-Pro, 135 catches, over 1,700 receiving yards and 12 touchdowns. Even if he isn't better than Jay Jettis, he's still in the same tier as him. So therefore, he's going to have the right to command to get more than him. That's just the way that these markets go, as I elaborated in my previous segment. And it's the same thing with the quarterback market. We just saw Jared Goff get $50 million a year. Tua's probably going to get that, and Trevor Lawrence might get that as well. So Dak Prescott, that opens up the can of worms for him to get 55, 60 million a year and become the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. And when you're dishing out this kind of money, especially when you still have Michael Parsons, who has his hand out right now, looking for a new contract, you only have so much money to give out for the rest of your team to fill the competitive roster, because Dallas is going to find themselves in a spot where, are you really going to be willing to invest the majority of your cap space into only 3 guys and become a top-heavy team and don't have any depth behind them? Think about all of the good depth pieces that the Cowboys just lost in free agency a few months ago to the Washington Commanders. There's more to winning Super Bowls than just having 3-star players. You got to have a complete, well-rounded team. What about the offensive line? You just lost Tyron Smith. Jerry Jones at the start of this offseason said that the Cowboys were going to go all in. And what he meant by that was, we're going to go all in on paying our top 3 core guys. CeeDee Lamb, he's been waiting for Justin Jefferson to get paid for the last couple of months so he can outdo him. Now, I wouldn't pay CeeDee Lamb that much. Hell, if I'm Dallas, I trade him, try to get 2-3 first-round picks, but they're not going to do that. But Dak Prescott, though, I would be willing to let him walk and hit free agency. The reason for this is because he's 30 years old, and he's been in the league for a while, and he hasn't produced a lot of postseason success. I'd rather pay Michael Parsons and CeeDee Lamb and like Dak Prescott walk and try to reset with maybe Shedeur Sanders in next year's draft, because Dion already said that he has no problem, him and Shedeur, pulling a Eli and trying to force themselves into the situation that they want to be in, which I think ideally would be Dallas. And this doesn't have anything to do with Dion potentially becoming the next head coach of the Cowboys, which I strongly doubt that will happen. But if Shedeur wants to become a Dallas Cowboy, I'm pretty sure they can find a way to make that happen. When you have Shedeur Sanders on a rookie deal, that's going to allow you to pay a lot of money to CeeDee and Michael Parsons and still have a little bit of wiggle room to fill the competitive roster. But if you're investing 55 to 60 million a year in Dak Prescott, and you're giving CeeDee Lamb 35, 36 million a year, and God knows how much Michael Parsons is going to get paid, what happens to DaRon Bland? What happens to all of the other young pieces on your team that are going to look to get new contracts? You aren't going to be able to keep everybody around, and that means that your team is going to get significantly worse. Jerry Jones is in a really tough situation thanks to Justin Jefferson, and it's the Dallas Cowboys' fault why they find themselves in this spot, because they waited too long with this. If you knew that you wanted to extend Dak, you should have just gone ahead and done it before last year started. We know that Dak Prescott is always going to give you top 10 quarterback play during the regular season. And I still believe there's a possibility he could win you a Super Bowl if you get the right coach in there. But you got to have CeeDee Lamb around him, because Dak Prescott is one of those QBs that he's only as good as the pieces that he has around him, which is why I think it would be a smart idea just to let him walk. When you have somebody who doesn't really elevate the team per se, and you need to pay a guy like CeeDee Lamb, I'm not willing to make Dak Prescott a higher paid quarterback than guys like Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow, guys who have proven to be able to do more with less and be able to win in the playoffs. Dak Prescott hasn't had the playoff win since they beat Grandpa Brady a few years ago. That was his best playoff performance in recent years. Ever since then, he just has been a no-show in the postseason. And I'm not willing to invest in that when we've already seen the track record. Yeah, he puts up great stats in the regular season. He was an MVP finalist last year, but where did that get Dallas? Losing to Jordan Love? Yeah, I think if I'm Jerry Jones and I can't keep all three of my core guys, I would be willing to let Dak Prescott walk, get $60 million somewhere else, because there definitely are teams that would pay him $60 million a year. But Dallas, it wouldn't be in their best interest to do that, just because your roster is going to be severely depleted with you giving away like 30% of your cap space, maybe more than that, to 3 dudes on your team. Football is a game that is a team sport, and you got to have 11 guys on the field that can do their job at a high level. And with you investing the majority of your cap space into 3 of those dudes, it just doesn't seem like a viable option if you're still trying to be a contender, unless you really trust your ability to draft and develop, which the Dallas Cowboys have been kind of in the middle of that when it comes to drafting well and having those draft picks turn into really good players. So Jay Jettas, with this historic contract that he has just agreed to terms with the Minnesota Vikings, 4 years, $140 million, $110 million, fully guaranteed. You know, things don't get any easier for Jerry Jones and America's team right now, because I think one of their 3 core guys are going to have to walk. I'll be really surprised if they keep all 3, because it just wouldn't be smart if they are still trying to be a Super Bowl contender for the foreseeable future. Because, I mean, giving up this much cap space to just 3 guys, plus you just paid Trayvon Diggs, I don't think that's smart. You got to invest that kind of money in other positions. You got to be able to spread the money out. And yes, the cap space does go up every single year, but it's not going to go up that much where you're going to have just so much leeway when it comes to free agency to still be able to sign guys that can have a big impact in terms of you being able to get back to a Super Bowl, a place that you haven't been since the damn 90s.